Hey guys, I am back with yet another Baldur's Gate 3 video today. And I was torn on whether or not I wanted to make this video because news videos aren't really what I do. But guys, Larian just dropped a huge Baldur's Gate 3 community update and my hype meter is through the roof right now, as well as that of the rest of the BG3 community, I'm sure. So, let's get straight into it. No fancy intro today. So yesterday, as of the making of this video, Larian released community update number 20, in which they say the following. Where to begin? This week has seen you take to the streets of the lower city as amateur sleuths in Blood of Baldur's Gate, a community murder mystery to uncover the hidden darkness that lurks just beneath the city's surface. Where will the investigation lead? Keep digging, detectives. You're leading us all to the panel from hell, where untold surprises await you. July 7th. In the meantime, it's time to talk about Baldur's Gate 3, but not as you know it. We're going to go in depth about some of our most anticipated details. Races and classes, we see you control F Dragonborn, new origins and companion characters, the official level cap, new difficulty settings and much, much more. And then they go on to talk a bit about the incredible depth and breadth of the game, but I'll just start off with what to me is one of the biggest things in this huge community update, the release date. So, Larian are actually doing something that is very rare in the gaming industry these days. They moved up the PC release date by almost a month. As is stated in the community update, let's get into a little detail about what you can expect to see in the Panel from Hell release showcase, just in time for the release of the game on August 3rd for PC and September 6th for PS5. You read that right. We will be releasing the game in order of platform readiness. Baldur's Gate 3 will first come to PC on August 3rd before launching on the PlayStation 5 a few weeks later on September 6th. So yeah, for PC players the game is actually releasing about a month earlier than the original release date. And if you are an early access player, you do get to play the final version of the game a little bit earlier. 72 hours to be exact, which I think means we can play the game on the 31st of July if my math is correct. Now the release date for the PlayStation 5 version has been delayed by a week. However, Larian have said in the update that this is because they want to make sure the quality of the game is the best it can be. The PlayStation 5 version will be released roughly a week later than its original scheduled date of August 31st. Baldur's Gate 3 is targeting 60 frames per second and we're close to achieving that on the platform, but we need a bit more extra time. We don't want to compromise on quality, and feel like it would be a shame to downscale to 30 frames per second or make other compromises to hit an arbitrary date. We understand that folks may be disappointed with this, but we're close enough to reaching new heights for our RPGs on the system that the benefits for a short delay outweigh the downsides of rushing the PS5 release and having to downscale. The full Mac version will also be released at a later date, but we'll update you as soon as we have a target. So unfortunately for you PlayStation players out there, you'll have to wait a little bit longer, but that also means you'll actually have the best version of the game and can play it at 60 frames per second as Larian intended it to be. I just still can't believe they actually moved up the PC release date though, like, when does that happen? Ever? As for Xbox, Larian still can't say anything about the release date, but they did say they're optimistic. We said before that our goal is to bring our games to as many platforms as possible. We're optimistic about Baldur's Gate 3 on the Xbox Series X, but in order to announce and release the game on Xbox, we need to ensure that the game is performing without compromise across the entire Xbox X and S ecosystem, in multiplayer and with split screen. We already put a lot of effort into making it work and will continue to do so. Like with the PS5 version, we'll release it when it's ready. We'll update you as soon as we can. Some other interesting facts that Larian mentioned in the post is that Baldur's Gate 3 eclipses Divinity Original Sin 2 in terms of depth and breadth. With 11 playable races, 12 classes, 46 subclasses, over 600 spells and actions, and 208 passive features. They also tell us Baldur's Gate 3 has more cinematic dialogue than 3 times all 3 of the Lord of the Rings novels combined, and it has 174 hours of cinematics, making it more than twice the length of every season of Game of Thrones combined. That is insane. 170 hours of cinematics, holy shit. The next thing in the article is the reveal of the level cap. They originally planned for the max level to be level 10, but as Larian put it, too many rad high-level spells would have been left just out of reach. So they upped the level cap to level 12, which will unlock spells like Planar Allies, Otto's Irresistible Dance, and Chain Lightning. After that, the update reveals the Dragonborn and Half-Orc as playable races, which is something most of us that have been following BG3 closely for the past couple of years were already expecting, but it's nice to see it being confirmed here. And on top of that, they also revealed the Duergar as a playable race. So with these 3 races added, BG3 will have 11 races and 31 sub-races. And just look at these screenshots, the Dragonborn just look badass. In the update, Larian has said the following about the Dragonborn. Hailing from Toril's distant sister world of Abir, Dragonborn are rare in the realms, and they're hard to miss. Hulking in size next to any other humanoid creatures, they bear the unmistakable mark of their draconic heritage, with chromatic and metallic scales reminiscent of the majestic dragons from which they trace their lineage. A Dragonborn subrace determines their damage and resistance. For Silver Dragonborn, that's cold damage. For Red Dragonborn, it's fire. In Baldur's Gate 3, there are 10 subraces to choose from. Black, Blue, Brass, Bronze, Copper, Gold, Green, Red, Silver, and White. More sub-races than any other race in the game. Your draconic ancestry also determines your breath weapon. A gift from your ancestral Dragonborn, giving you the power to unleash an unholy burp. What the fuck? A gift from ancestral Dragonborn, giving you the power to unleash an unholy burp of destructive energy from your very maw. Thanks, Grandpa! Jesus. And then of course there is the Half-Orc, of which they also showed off a screenshot and said the following. With a fierce physique and an underbite that would make a dentist cry, Half-Orcs are an intimidating addition. Generally more inclined to act before they think, these are creatures of intense emotion who are propelled by that inner fire. Sometimes it serves through acts of protection, loyalty, and selflessness, but often it appears in a rage that compels them into battle. Harnessing savage attacks, Half-Orcs do some of the highest weapon damage in the game, dealing extra damage crits using triple the dice. Half-Orcs are also one of the most resilient races in the game. To quote the prose of Chumbawamba, they get knocked down, but then get up again. Thanks to their key ability, Relentless Endurance, Half-Orcs are able to beat death once per long rest. This means that instead of outright dying when your health is drained, you'll drop to 1 HP. And last but not least, the Duergar. A smaller addition to our lineup, but no less significant, Duergar are coming to Baldur's Gate 3. The 3rd dwarf subrace will be playable at launch, adding a stoic and subterranean cousin of the dwarven family tree. We've also added a ton of reactivity around these characters, with over 200 new dialogue responses tailored to Duergar kind. And that actually makes me really happy to hear that they added over 200 new dialogue responses. Really makes the character feel unique as a player character, and it also adds a lot of replayability. Like, the reactions you get from other NPCs as a Duergar will probably be very different from what you get if you're playing, say, like a human, an elf, or a gnome. We even see this right now in early access with the Drow, for example. A Drow will be treated differently from other races, especially in the Goblin camp, but I won't go into details cause spoilers. The next big topic in this update is the confirmation of the Monk class. Zen and the Art of Punching, Monk class revealed. Monks are masters of manipulating the field of combat, pushing, pulling, and stunning enemies across the battleground using forceful ki-powered punches. Their combat style is a balance between fighter and rogue, allowing them to traverse the map effortlessly, with Step of the Wind and then strike out with powerful melee blows. I feel like the Monk class is what a lot of people have been waiting for. Again, we already kind of expected the Monk class to be added, as Larian has said that all the races and classes from the player's handbook would be in the game, but it's great to see it confirmed here and that they give us an idea of what it'll be like to play as a monk in the game. In Baldur's Gate 3, the monk comes with 3 subclasses. Monks of the Open Hand excel at close combat, using special unarmed techniques to manipulate enemies at hand. At mid-levels, this subclass can charge their attacks with psychic, necrotic, or radiant damage, representing the mind, body, and soul. At higher levels, they get Ki Resonating Blast, which infuses punch targets with Ki and can create a chain reaction of explosions across all in-range targets who have also been touched by Ki. The Shadow Monks are stealth ninjas who teleport to and from the shadows, and Monks of the 4 Elements are casters who unleash monk variants of spells followed up with a rapid bonus action punch. There are a few more tidbits on the monk here, but I won't read it all cause I don't want to make this video too long. But I will point out that Larian mentions that all the animations, visual effects and sound effects for the monk class are on a whole other level. They say, "We've pulled inspiration from the rulebook to create a stunning audio-visual experience which lives up to the Kung Fu cinema classics." And then they show us a few very cool looking GIFs. But yeah, if you want to know every little detail, I highly recommend you read the community update for yourself after watching this video. Alright, for the next topic, one of my favorites, and I'm sure many of you will agree, companions. So, some new origin characters and companions have been revealed. Whether exploring the streets of Baldur's Gate from the perspective of a vampire spawn, or investigating the driving force behind Gale's strange gastrointestinal urges. Well, you'll get that if you play the early access. Whether exploring the streets of Baldur's Gate from the perspective of a vampire spawn, or investigating the driving force behind Gale's strange gastrointestinal urges, each origin character brings their distinct personality, background, and story to the game. With the addition of Karlach, our number of origin characters now rises to 6. She will join Astarion, Gale, Shadowheart, Lae'zel, and Will like a well-meaning, devil-fighting bat out of hell, rounding out the moral spectrum of playable characters from good to bad, and the shades of grey in between. But she won't be our final origin. You'll have to tune into our next week's Panel from Hell release showcase for that. So basically, if you don't know, origin characters are characters complete with their own background that we can play as if we don't want to make a custom character. Astarion, Gale, Shadowheart, Lae'zel, and Will are our companions, but in the full game we'll be able to play as them and experience the story from their point of view. Karlach wasn't a companion in the early access, but we do encounter her at some point. People were already hoping she'd become a companion as she expresses interest in teaming up, but can't due to circumstances that I won't get into for spoiler reasons. And now she's not only going to be a companion, but an origin character too. And Karlach is not the only one joining our party as a full companion. Along with your origins, you can also expect to find 4 companion characters who can join you on your journey. Halsin, Jaheira, Minsc, and Minthara. While we initially planned to lock players in with a core crew of companions past Act 1, we nixed that plan in favor of a buffet approach to team selection. You'll be able to mix and match any of these characters into your group throughout. And yes, you'll be able to romance almost all of them. Ask us sometime about that Halsin scene. So, if you're subscribed to my channel and watch my videos regularly, you'll know that I actually made a Baldur's Gate 3 companion video literally last week. I talked a bit about the companions that we have in the early access, and I talked about Halsin and Volo being camp followers, and Minsc and Jaheira being confirmed as companions on release. Now, with this new information, if you decide to watch my BG3 companions video, just ignore what I say about Halsin not being a full companion, okay? By the way, I do recommend you watch it after you finish this video, because there is some interesting stuff I talk about if you don't mind a few spoilers. Also, in that same companions video, I did leave out Minthara. I'm not really sure why. I believe she's technically also a camp follower in the early access if you make certain choices, so I probably should have included her. Also, it seems like you guys are actually getting what you wanted, a Halsin romance. As for romances for the other companions, we know from the early access that Minthara is, I guess, romanceable. I mean, you can sleep with her, so I guess she's romanceable. For Minsc and Jaheira though, I can see Minsc being a romance option because he wasn't one at all in the previous games. Jaheira though I'm not entirely sure about because she's a bit older, well, she's a lot older than the player character in BG3, depending on the race you pick, I guess. And she's also a romance option in Baldur's Gate 2, so I don't think she's gonna be romanceable here. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Before I talk about Karlach, I want to mention how glad I am that Larian decided to allow us to keep all companions post Act 1. As I say in the post, they originally planned to lock us into a core crew, which is what they did for DOS 2. At the end of Act 1, the companions that were not in your active party would just die, no matter what, which meant that you'd be missing out on a lot of their content like personal quests and backstories. You could argue that this adds to replayability, but in all honesty, I think the game itself gives you plenty of reason to play it multiple times, and having your non-active companions die after Act 1 just because feels so unnecessary to me. So again, I'm really glad Larian decided not to go this route and allows us to keep all companions. Now, let's move on to Karlach. First, look at her design. Just look at her. She looks so fucking badass and I love her already. From the fires of Avernus, Karlach joins the party as a new playable character. After brawling her way out of the scorched battlefields of the Blood War, Karlach now joins the party. Longtime players will recognize this battle-worn tiefling barbarian from early access, but come launch, you'll finally get to unlock her full story as a playable origin story. Karlach's battle history is written across her body in scars, burns, and tattoos. The indelible marks of a legendary warrior and unyielding resilience. After finally escaping from this endless war between devils and demons, she is determined to live life to the fullest. Or at least as much as she can, given the unholy machine pumping hellish fire through her veins. This little present from the archdevil she served makes her a beast in battle, but if she gets too worked up, she'll destroy anything she touches, including you. In the words of writer Sarah Bayless, in a 2023 setting, Karlach would roll in on a Harley with shades and a cigar between her teeth. Blaring Sebeth, a diesel-soaked dynamo with a heart of gold. She seeks justice for the oppressed, camaraderie, and revenge on the bastard who sold her to hell. Now, as the post mentions, she isn't the last origin character, which also means we'll be getting another companion, I'm assuming, as all the other origin characters are also companions. However, we don't know anything about that yet, as Larian are keeping that reveal for the panel from Hell on the 7th of July next week. The next thing in the post is a whole list of new feats including Sharpshooter, Tavern Brawler, Lucky, Warcaster, and a lot more. I'm not gonna name them all, but I'll have a full list on screen. The post also talks about some new spells coming at launch, including Cone of Cold, Greater Restoration, Conjure Elemental, Hold Monster, and a lot more. Once again, I'll have the full list up on screen. The last few things mentioned in the post are difficulty levels, subtitle translations, and the collector's edition. There are going to be 3 difficulty levels: Story Mode, Default/Normal Mode, and Hardcore Mode. In Story Mode, the combat has been made more forgiving. Normal Mode is, well, normal mode. In Hardcore Mode, you truly get to test your mettle. Enemy lethality is cranked up to brutal, and many adjustments have been made to the fights, with certain enemies receiving additional support through reinforcements, spells, or consumable items. As for the translations, the game will be available in 13 subtitled languages: English, French, German, Polish, Russian, Simplified Chinese, Traditional Chinese, Spanish, Spanish Latin America, Turkish, Portuguese Brazil, Italian, and Ukrainian. And for everyone who bought the Collector's Edition, the Collector's Edition should make it to you around the 31st of August, the original release date. For everyone that ordered on PC, the code will be emailed to you earlier so you can start playing sooner. On PlayStation 5, to ensure you're ready for your Digital Deluxe Edition 72-hour early access period, your code will be sent to you via email before the 72-hour period starts, so you can jump in right on time to claim your rewards. And then the post ends with 35 days to launch. We are eternally grateful for your patience as we reach the final milestones of development. There is still some work to be done, but we know you've waited a very long time for confirmations on many of the topics discussed in this community update today. We didn't want to spoil anything though. We'll reveal more content and more numbers on July 7th as we explore the breadth and depth of Baldur's Gate 3 at the final Panel from Hell release showcase. It's been real. Now, this is the end of the community update post, but there were some other things revealed in a PlayStation article posted on the same day. The article mainly talks about the things that the community update talked about, as well as confirmed multiclassing. But there are also some interesting screenshots that show off the new customization options. As we can see on this screenshot, the character here is a half-orc barbarian, and on the top left you can see he is using body type 2, which seems to be a pretty bulky body type. And if we look at the next screenshot, we see a tiefling rogue, and we can't see which body type he is using, but we do see the body type is different from the previous character. The third screenshot shows off even more. As we can see on the right, we'll have 4 body types. Identity will be male, female, or non-binary, I assume, like it is in the early access. We'll have a total of 8 voices, 8 different faces, and 120 skin colors. And then we have an option for maturity, which I'm assuming will be things that make your character look older, like wrinkles in the face or maybe something like scars. And then you can also see they added an option for freckle quantity, and as someone that has freckles IRL, I'm actually happy to see this option being its own thing. Like, often in games, and I apologize for this mini rant here, but often in games the freckle options, if there are even any to begin with, are really limited and only restricted to one part of the face. So I'm really glad to see that here we don't only have an option for freckles, but we also get to choose the amount. As we can see on the screenshot, the current percentage is 58, and we see freckles mostly on the character's cheeks and nose. And I'm assuming the higher the percentage, the more the face will be covered. The rest of the PlayStation article talks about origin characters and companions, friendships, romances, choice and consequence. It also talks about Karlach for a bit and shows off these beautiful screenshots of Jaheira, Minsk and Karlach, and closes by mentioning the panel from Hell on July 7th, where we'll be meeting the 7th and final origin character. And I think that's all of the Baldur's Gate 3 updates for now. So, damn, that was a lot. I think I never made a video this fast before, and it's also different from my usual format. So sorry if this was a bit more chaotic than what you're used to from me, but I really wanted to get this out there and make sure everyone is up to date on the latest Baldur's Gate 3 developments. Again, I know I've said it multiple times in this video, but I can't believe they moved up the release date. Like, I've been waiting for this game for over 2 years now, and we're so close to full release. I'm just so excited to finally play the finished product. I also love seeing how active and how hyped the community of Baldur's Gate 3 is, and how happy everyone is with how Larian are handling the development of this game, or at least the community side of things. And again, I can't stress enough just how glad I am to see developers put this much detail and love and passion into this game. They've been listening to player feedback, and I feel like they've really thought about everything. Even the silly little freckles option that probably only me and maybe 10 other people care about, but still it's nice to see that they've made it an option. Anyway, I've been rambling for far too long. I hope I didn't miss anything, as this was a ton of information, but in case I did, I'll be linking both the community update itself and the PlayStation article below in the description, so you can read everything for yourself. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, let me know by liking this video, and make sure to tune in on Larian's final panel from Hell next week on Friday the 7th of July at 5 PM CET or 8 AM PT. As per Larian's own words, we'll see the game like we've never seen it before. Sounds like they'll have a lot of exciting things to show us. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.